Good evening, you're watching India First. I'm Gaurav Sawant. The Congress versus the BJP war. Yesterday it was the Prime Minister and today's leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, hitting back at Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It's a stinging counter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Congress should be ashamed jibe. Rahul Gandhi is taken to social media platform X to tweet, and I quote, Modi ji, do you talk about shame? Let me tell you what shame is. This is Rahul Gandhi in a message to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Rahul Gandhi says, your name, your ministers and your friends' name appearing together in the Epstein files, being linked to such a vile criminal. This is shameful. Rahul Gandhi then goes on to say, the trade deal you've made with America, in which you've sold out the country, this is shameful. You've handed over our country's data. You've wiped out the farmers. You've ruined the textile industry. This is shameful. The entire country knows that the ongoing case against Adani in America has kept you up at night because it's the case against the BJP and your financial architecture. For 14 months, no action has been taken on it. This is shameful. Modi ji, you do whatever you deem appropriate for your friends Anil Ambani, Adani and yourself. I and the lion-hearted warriors of the Congress party will continue to defend the country. We won't retreat even an inch, unquote. This is leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi to Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the Prime Minister's stinging attack on the Congress party's shirtless protest at the AI summit, which the Prime Minister had called shameful. So let me get you all sides of the story. Let me get you what Rahul Gandhi says and what Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said on this broadcast. Listen in.
बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ताओं, आरएसएस के कार्यकर्ताओं, आप अपने प्रधानमंत्री के आंखों में देखो, आपको डर दिखेगा। पार्लियामेंट में नहीं आ पाए और कारण नारावाने नहीं थे, कारण एप्स्टीन था, कारण अदानी पर केस था। नरेंद्र मोदी जी, अहिंसा और लोकतांत्रिक विरोध देश की बुनियाद है। गांधी जी और भगत सिंह ने यह रास्ता दिखाया है, इससे आप इतना क्यों डरते हो? आप शर्म की बात करते हो। शर्म की बात मैं आपको बताता हूँ। आपने अमेरिका के साथ जो किया है, ये शर्म की बात। देश को आपने बेचा है। पहली शर्म की बात, जो यूएस के साथ आपने ट्रेड डील की है, जिसमें हिंदुस्तान को कुछ नहीं मिला और हमारा पूरा देश आपने अमेरिका को बेच दिया है। हमारे देश का डेटा दे दिया, किसानों को खत्म कर दिया, टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री बर्बाद कर दी। ये शर्म की बात। दूसरी शर्म की बात, एप्स्टीन जो पीडोफाइल है, उसकी फाइलों में, उसकी ईमेल में आपका नाम, आपके मंत्रियों का नाम और आपके दोस्तों का नाम, तीनों का एक साथ आ रहा है। ये है दूसरी शर्म की बात। और तीसरी शर्म की बात, अदानी पे जो केस चल रहा है, पूरा देश जानता है कि वो अदानी पर नहीं, बीजेपी और आपके फाइनेंशियल आर्किटेक्चर पर केस है। और पूरा देश जानता है, पूरी रात आप सो नहीं पाते हो जब आप सोचते हो कि अदानी केस का क्या होगा। मोदी जी, जो आप अपने मित्रों के लिए अनिल अंबानी, अदानी और अपने लिए उचित समझते हो, वो आप करो। हम देश की रक्षा करते हैं, हम किसानों की रक्षा करते हैं, हम मजदूरों की रक्षा करते हैं, स्मॉल एंड मीडियम इंडस्ट्री की रक्षा करते हैं और देश की डेटा की रक्षा करते हैं। हम संविधान के लिए लड़ रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी के बब्बर शेरों, कार्यकर्ताओं, आपको डरना नहीं है, एक कदम पीछे हटना नहीं है। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
कांग्रेस तो अपने ही देश को बदनाम करने में जुटी है। साथियों, कांग्रेस के नेताओं को मोदी से नफरत है। ये लोग मेरी कब्र खोदना चाहते हैं। मेरी मां को गाली देने से भी उनको कोई परहेज नहीं है। उन्हें भाजपा से विरोध है, उन्हें एनडीए से विरोध है। ठीक है, आपकी राजनीति में यही करना जरूरी है, चलो भाई, समझ सकते हैं, हम इसको भी सहन कर लेंगे। लेकिन कांग्रेस को याद रखना चाहिए था कि एआई ग्लोबल समिट ये बीजेपी का समारोह नहीं था और न ही उस समय बीजेपी का कोई नेता वहां मौजूद था। ये देश का कार्यक्रम था, देश के सम्मान का कार्यक्रम था, देश के लोगों के पसीने से। लेकिन कांग्रेस ने परसों सारी मर्यादाएं तोड़ दी और पूरा देश कांग्रेस की इस रीति नीति पर थू थू हो रही है। लेकिन दुर्भाग्य देखिए, इतनी पुरानी पार्टी के नेता लाजने के बजाय गाजते हैं, बेशर्मी के साथ देश की बेइज्जती करने वालों का जयकारा कर रहे हैं।
I quickly want to bring in India Today's Rahul Gautam now joining me with the latest on the story. Rahul, it's now a no-holds-barred war between the Congress and the BJP. First, the shirtless protest, the Prime Minister's response, and Rahul Gandhi's swift counter-attack. And this counter-attack on the Epstein files, and then goes on to that entire Indo-US deal, as he calls it, a deal that's still just in the works.
Well, Gaurav, it is evident now that Congress is not going to back down, even as it is being criticized by many, including its own alliance partners like Samajwadi Party and RJD. Now, we've just heard the soundbite of Rahul Gandhi, wherein he launched a very scathing attack, and he touched upon many issues. He said that the Prime Minister is compromised. He spoke about Epstein files. He spoke about a lawsuit which is pending in the US against Adani, saying that your friends, your minister's name have popped up in Epstein files, and that's what keeping you awake at nights. And in fact, he also accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi of trading of the interest of Indian farmers. He said that the Indo-US trade deal is essentially going to destroy our textile, industry. So, many of them are repeated claims or repeated allegations by Rahul Gandhi. But one thing is very sure. By the end of it, he said that that Congress karyakartas are like Babbar Sheh. They are line-hearted, workers of Congress party that not going to back down. We're going to stand with them. And clearly, in a way, you can say that even though it is facing heat from many, including alliance partners, Congress had decided to throw its whole weight behind the Congress workers. One thing is very important, that it seems that it's a beginning of a long battle, a battle of perception between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi, and we would be seeing much more barbs coming in, jibes coming in from Rahul Gandhi, from other Congress leaders. But one thing is very important here. Congress has realized that it's a watershed moment. If they're not going to stand, or they're not going to defend what had happened on Friday at AI Summit, obviously it's going to hurt them, going to harm their electoral prospects. So therefore, in the same spirit, we also saw many press conferences being held by many Congress leaders, and now Rahul Gandhi also coming out and giving a rebuttal, saying that what happened at AI, all these things are not shameful, but what you are doing, essentially what BJP is doing, is
Stay
shameful.
with me, Rahul. Let me also quickly bring Mausmi Singh into this conversation. Rahul and Mausmi cover the Congress very closely. Mausmi, the Congress very clearly is doubling down. Allies may have distanced themselves, whether it's the Trinamool Congress or the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray, or even the RJD or the DMK and others, but the Congress is doubling down. There's Rahul Gandhi's come out all guns blazing, Mausmi.
That's right, Gaurav, and as I said, that the Congress has little option but to, support the Youth Congress in full swing and in full measures, because that's the youth outfit of the Congress party. Even as, there are leaders like Margaret Alva, and there is internal, whisper growing louder that perhaps there could have been another way of protest. But at the face of it, we've seen that the entire media department has backed the Youth Congress protest. Today we saw a united show with lots of leaders thronging the police station, the Tilak Park police station, and and perhaps they are going to amplify and escalate this entire show of support for the Youth Congress because Rahul Gandhi, remember said that the PM is compromised. He had tweeted that out a day after the entire protest broke out. And yet again, the diktat is coming from the top, with Rahul Gandhi saying we are not going to budge an inch, we are not going to move back an inch. The message is loud and clear, right or wrong, that will be thought out later, but this is a testing time for the Congress party as its youth wing is put under the scanner for the kind of protest they've done. So I think my sources do tell me that there is going to be a lot of united show of the top brass leaders, the tall leaders of the Congress party coming out in support of the Youth Congress.
So is this because they're saying that they want to stand, Rahul Gandhi wants to stand with the next generation of leadership, that they'll stand with the Youth Congress, or do they think that that's only the trigger? It's the Epstein files or Adani or other aspects that they want the global attention on. That's only the trigger. The real issue is what they think the entire battle will go to.
Well, Gaurav, it's a battle of perception, and as we say, the politics is all about perception. A protest was carried out by Congress workers. They, protested at a coveted AI summit, and later on, initially, many, within the party, they were surprised. They were a bit caught up. But later on, party figured out that if not, they're not going to support it, wholeheartedly or in a wholesome manner. That is going to backfire, and that's why, possibly we saw, many alliance partners, not coming out in support. In fact, many of them criticized, saying that the selection of venue could have been much better. But by highlighting, things like Epstein files, by a lawsuit pending against, Gautam Adani, crony capitalism, all these have always been, the core planks or the core issue that Rahul Gandhi has been raising. So clearly, you rightly pointed out that
stay with me. Rajdeep Sardesai now joins me for more on this big story, and I want to bring in Rajdeep for his political perspective. Rajdeep, the Congress is not backing out. The Prime Minister had launched a frontal attack on the Congress party, saying it's not the entire opposition, it's just the Congress. But Rahul Gandhi's come back with a very major counter-attack, clearly not backing down, he's doubling down.
Well, that, Gaurav, is Rahul Gandhi's style. Like it or not, Rahul Gandhi has decided that once he's taken up an issue, he's not going to pull back. You've seen it now with the Indo-US trade deal, where he's gone on with this line that Narendra surrender, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has surrendered his interests. The fact that many of his allies are not on board with the nature of the protests that took place at the AI summit, the fact that some of them have come out openly and called it inappropriate, none of that seems to, in a way, faze Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi, in a sense, is detached at one level from day-to-day politics, but at the same level believes he is in an ideological battle with Prime Minister Modi and the BJP RSS. And the issues that he raises, whether it's Epstein files, whether it's Adani, this is not the first time, Gaurav, he's raised it, but it comes significantly 24 hours after the Prime Minister called it a national shame what the Congress had done. And he's kept on in his video, Gaurav, using that word shame again and again, saying, if you call our protest national shame, what about the fact that your ministers are named in the Epstein files? What about the fact that we believe that you are protecting Gautam Adani? What about the fact that the Indo-US trade deal, according to him, is heavily biased towards one side? Rahul Gandhi, as I said, is
but Rajdeep,
somehow or the other
Indo-US trade deal just as yet. That framework is still in the works.
There isn't, but based... Sure, but based on the agreement, look, as I said, from day one, Rahul Gandhi, like it or not, we may disagree, we may agree with him wherever in the hyper-partisan world, he is a figure who divides public opinion. But to his supporters, he's seen as a leader who's really willing to look you in the eye. Significantly, if you see, he starts his video by saying, BJP RSS, appealing to BJP RSS or speaking to BJP RSS saying, can the Prime Minister look you in the eye? He wants to make his battles always about Mr. Modi. You see, that is his one point focus I will take on Narendra Modi. The ally, they don't want to get into a direct conflict with Narendra Modi. In the last 11 years, they've often found that taking on Mr. Modi allows Mr. Modi to play victim. And Mr. Modi is the one who ends up benefiting, certainly politically and electorally. Rahul Gandhi tells his supporters, I am in a 20-year fight. This
So he's in a 20-year
fight with the BJP RSS.
Okay,
That's right.
Because
he
so
believes
far,
he's here, that this
so
is not
far when
about
it's a
a one-day or a
between
T20
Prime Minister
match.
Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi. We've seen the results of 2014 elections, 2019 elections, and 2024 elections, and yet he continues with the same strategy. Rajdeep, in your view, is this, from the Congress's perspective, counterproductive? And how do you look at allies who distance themselves from the Youth Congress protests?
I can't hear you, Gaurav. I'm sorry.
So, you said Rahul Gandhi is looking at it as a 20-year project of Rahul Gandhi taking on Narendra Modi. But when you look at election results, 2014, 19 and 24, how do you look at this strategy of Rahul Gandhi? Okay, give me a moment as we reestablish this link with Rajdeep Sardesai in just a moment, because this is Rahul Gandhi's strategy, and I quickly want to now bring in our political guests on this broadcast. Congress Party's Nikhat Abbas joins me on the show. RP Singh of the BJP joins me on the show. RP Singh, it's the most direct attack of Rahul Gandhi on Narendra Modi and his government, saying that your name, your friends' names are there in the Epstein files, and that is shameful. Not what the Youth Congress did. The Congress stands with them.
Gaurav, remember that campaign of Rafael Chowkidar Chor hai? And he went all out. I mean, Rajdeep was right that he went all out on that Chowkidar Chor hai. And what did happen? Finally, he got a slap from the court and from the people also. Similarly, he did with the vote chori campaign, the election commission, calling election commission and saying he is playing on behalf of BJP. And that complete campaign of vote chori. And thereafter, people gave the right to Mr. Rahul Gandhi vote chori also. Now, on trade deal, let's you have some list, some document on record which is what I don't have one. God don't have one.
Sir, give me a moment as we fix this audio line. In just a moment, I have Nikhat Abbas joining me on this broadcast. Nikhat, explain to us the Congress Party strategy. Allies may have distanced themselves. Opposition parties like the TMC, DMK, NC, they may have distanced themselves from the Youth Congress protests. I want to quote to you for a moment what Akhilesh Yadav said. He said, we may have internal rifts, but what the Congress did on global platform was not appropriate. But Rahul Gandhi says, we will not cede an inch. Explain the Congress Party thinking and Rahul Gandhi's statement, ma'am.
Good evening, Gaurav, to you, my co-panelist, Mr. RP Singh, and the viewers of India Today tonight. Gaurav, let's lower the drama for a moment and let's look at the facts first, and look at that how a handful of young protesters raised voices and slogans at an event, and within 24 hours, detention across different states are being carried, and also the IYC president has been detained. This is not strength, let me tell you, this is hypersensitivity. This is the same government who in one single parliamentary session suspended 150 member of parliaments. I mean, that is highest in the India's history, in our country's history. 95% of the political cases through ED are being targeting only the political leaders of the opposition parties. And also when we talk about the press freedom, we rank at about 159. Now let's come down to still the AI summit. And let's, it was marked as the historic event in our country, and it was publicized at a different level. Now what we are talking about is what are the measurable outcomes, because that is what matters when it comes to our nation and when it comes to the development of the AI infrastructure. Because when we talk about the measurable, the measurable outcomes, there are 4 points which I want to raise. There are no binding AI infrastructure investment. There are no publicly tabled framework which has been given yet. There are no roadmap which is coming out with the capacity of, how the compute capacity would be going on. And there are no dedicated investments or
Okay.
dedicated budget for skills which are being given. So we are talking about the measurable outcomes right now.
So you're
And
saying there are
when the
no
prime minister,
measurable
no, allow me
outcomes,
for
and
10
you're
seconds.
saying
When we
you're
talk about,
justifying
when
the
the prime
protests.
minister
Let's
talks
take
about
this one by
shame,
one.
let's talk
RP
about the
saying the
accountability.
Congress party raises the issue, why such stringent sections of the law on a harmless protest? India is a democracy. Are protests being criminalized now? The opposition says the BJP is using brute force because of the panic, as Rahul Gandhi put it, or words to that effect, because of the Prime Minister's name, his minister's name, his friend's name in the Epstein files or the Adani case and so on, sir.
Well, I was, as I was saying, that he made a noise when it was with Rafale, and what happened, we know that. He made a similar noise that vote chori, atom bomb, hydrogen bomb, what happened. Thereafter, we know that the people of Bihar gave a befitting reply. Now, this particular instance reminds me and parallel between what Omar Khalid did and what Rahul Gandhi has done. Omar Khalid, 2020, was working on CAA, and I'll discuss to defend India in front of Donald Trump, and he did it so. So similarly here, the head of the state here that and then world, and he did the same thing here. He what he did 20. So it's basically. I mean,
So give me a moment. I think we will have to
today,
reestablish that audio link with you. But somewhere down the line, the communication issue is something that really needs to be looked into here. But again, Nikhat Abbas, the BJP says the protest by the Congress workers is similar to what people like Umar Khalid did in the 2020 anti-CAA protest. The aim is to destabilize. Respond to that this entire thing is a premeditated effort to bring down the country's reputation, ma'am.
You know, Gaurav, whenever the Prime Minister or BJP is unable to take the criticism, they bring it down and boils it down to the anti-nationalism. This is the problem, which is why I call this government very hypersensitive, and also the Prime Minister. And when the Prime Minister here is talking about the shame, why is he not talking about the accountability? We want to know. He's the Prime Minister. He is answerable that why the Indian business groups are, facing the cases in the US courts. Come on, this is not political gossip. This is a legal matter which Indian Prime Minister needs to address. This is something we need to know about. And when we talk about youth, let me remind the Prime Minister and the viewers of India Today tonight that about 15% of Indian youth are still unemployed. That is what matters, and that is what is important, and that is what the Prime Minister should be addressing in today's world. And even today when we talk about the AI summit, like when I said that it is more publicized, the PR is used, let me bring this down to the information that India shares the global AI patents comes under 2%. The investments is under 2% even today.
So
the R&D
explain
department,
this. How was the
R&D
Youth
department is
Congress
about
shirtless
0.7%
protest?
in the total
How
GDP
was the
of India.
Youth Congress shirtless protest any which way, in your view, the appropriate thing to do at an international event? Because take, for example, you heard the Samajwadi Party, they said it's inappropriate. You heard Akhilesh Yadav, Babul Supriyo of the TMC saying the shirtless protest by members of the Indian Youth Congress reflects very poor judgment. Such conduct, according to him, sends a wrong message about national priorities. So while you list out national priorities here, the shirtless protest, your own opposition friends or allies or partners or others may say is against national dignity. The TMC is saying Congress is not in sync with our national priorities, ma'am.
If we were not standing tall with our youth workers, I don't think so we would have conducted this kind of protest, and our youth protesters would have conducted this kind of protest. We are standing tall in solidarity with and we support what has been done. This is the reality of the Indian Prime Minister and the Indian government in today's time, that we have to come down on roads and show how compromised this PM is. What we talk about shame is Like I said, I mean, when the Prime Minister is talking about shame, why is he not talking about the accountability? Why is that? Is he still not coming in the rallies and talking and ranting about that? Why is his ministers are being named in Epstein files? That is shameful. What is shameful is that he still shakes the hands with the people, with the business groups who are facing the legal matters in the US's court. What is shameful is that
Okay.
spreads the red carpet for the Communist Party of China in the BJP headquarters, wherein this is the same Communist Party of China who claims that Arunachal Pradesh is very much a part of China and not India.
Okay,
So
let
this
me
is
bring in
what is
RP
shameful.
Singh if
What
I
is
have an
shameful is
audio
that
link
these
with him
people
now,
are
because the
having joined
Congress
Epstein
leader
files
and
and not yet.
spokesperson Supriya Srinath has written that peaceful protests, RP Singh, they're a part of basic rights of any citizen in any democracy. So if the Congress party youth leaders exposed what the Congress terms is a compromised prime minister, his police is being accused of indulging in a political witch hunt. It's being called brazen misuse of power, sir. Respond.
Well,
RP
this is a
Singh.
picture from that peaceful protest where people shunted them out. It was people who were shunting them out. Let me show you another video here. Here how it happened. You must know see this, and then it will make you. You realize that people were against that what they were doing.
Fair enough. The points that the
Look,
Congress party is raising. No,
people,
RP
give me a
Singh.
second. There are people who are
It's
saying
a,
that
India's a
Congress is
democracy. In a
compromised.
democracy, clearly, the gentleman who was kicking the Congress party worker, even that cannot be described as correct, sir.
No. It is the generation next anger. People are saying that you are compromised. They are shouting back at them, at the Congress workers, saying that you are compromised. People can see through what's the game plan. As I was earlier saying, my voice was not probably audible. It reminds me of what Omar Khalid did in 2020, when Donald Trump was here. And he planned it, everything according to that. That's so that he can defame India. And now again, similar activity has been done by Rahul Gandhi to defame India. It's not the first time.
So
And my friend
the
was talking about.
BJP is
Give me a
accusing the
second.
Congress of
Give me a
defaming
second. Give me a
India.
second. Give me a second, Gaurav. Another second. And she talks about China. I mean, man who goes and have a dinner with the Chinese ambassador during Doklam, man who has signed an agreement with Communist Party of China, which we still till date we don't know. Party which takes money from the Chinese embassy and not only Chinese embassy from Zakir Naik also. So what they are talking about integrity. I mean, they should go for
Sir, you've been in
hold their
power
hands
for
in
the
shame.
past 11 years. If any action of any individual is illegal, you should have taken action. 11 years is long enough to take action. But Nikhat Abbas, it's not just opposition leaders who are distancing themselves from the Youth Congress protests. There are academics who are up in arms. They're saying the venue was to showcase India's AI power, modest as it may be in your view. But it is India's power, not BJP's power, that is being showcased. Courts have reacted adversely. The duty magistrate has said the conduct of Indian Youth Congress workers was not legitimate dissent, but a blatant assault on public order. The protests hurt the country's diplomatic image. The magistrate then goes on to say that the act imperils not merely the event's sanctity, but also the republic's diplomatic image before foreign stakeholders. Now, when all of this is happening, and these are very diverse views I'm bringing to you, from opposition leaders to academics to the magistrate, and the Congress continues to back it despite being isolated amongst the opposition, ma'am.
Gaurav, what we all know that we saw that Indian Prime Minister and the entire BJP has worked from head to toe to publicize the event and mark it as a historic event. When you say that the AI summit was a transformational event, then why can't you take the scrutiny? Why can't you take the question from the people who are raising their voices? Why is that we see it as a very, very weak government and a very sensitive and over hypersensitive government, like I said before? Because if you cannot take the questions, only the weak government puts the questioners behind the bars. That's the problem with this government. You do not want to answer the question. You do not want to tell that why is the unemployment raising. You do not want to say that why is that there's no budget which is being sanctioned for the AI. You do not want to say that how is the roadmap which is going to come for the AI. You do not want to tell any measurable outcomes. That is the problem. Publicizing any event and bringing actually the transformation into the event is way two different things. And these are the young protesters who have raised their voice. And this is not only the workers from the Congress's party. These are also the people who are the commoners coming and raising questions. These are not the voices
The
only Congress
commoners,
party
as
is raising.
RP
These
Singh
are the
showed you
voices
in
which are
those
being raised
images,
across the
Nikhat
country today
Abbas,
from
were
the
doing
youth,
something
the
completely
unemployment is
different.
rising.
We may disagree with them. We may disagree with them. You know, those who are kicking youth Congress workers, clearly kicking and beating is not the way. But you saw what commoners were doing there. Be that as it may, we leave it to our viewers to decide. But this political debate is only escalating. RP Singh, Nikhat Abbas, thank you very much for joining us. There's a big story that I want to talk about in India's war on red terror, the war against left-wing extremism. It's now in its most decisive phase, and we report a major victory in this battle. So Thippari Tirupathi, alias Devuji, he's surrendered. The man you see on your television screen, he's been leading the red terror war for the past 4 decades. He's been a very crucial person in the red terror war against the state. Devuji is now 62 years old. He carries a reward of 1 crore on his head. He's seen as the key face of that faction that continued to push for armed struggle. He surrendered in Telangana on Sunday after being underground for 40 years in the past. So who's Devuji? Devuji is the General Secretary of the CPI Maoist, and being the General Secretary of this Red Terror organization, that's like the highest position in the left-wing extremism hierarchy. He'd earlier served as the Central Committee and the Politburo member. He played a very critical role in planning and coordination of Red Terror operations in different parts of the country, across multiple states. This comes ahead, the surrender comes ahead of the March 31, 2026 deadline kept by Union Home Minister. This deadline had been set by Union Home Minister Amit Shah to eliminate the threat of red terror to our country. Now, what does this indicate? And I want you to factor in. So when the General Secretary of the CPI Maoist armed struggle against the state surrenders, and he's a man who has a reward of 1 crore on his head, that indicates that the CPI Maoist information that sources are telling India today, the Politburo is now reduced to just 1 active member who remains at large. And that's Misir Besra, alias Sagar or Sunirmal. He's the only one who's at that. The Central Committee's strength overall is now down to perhaps between 4 to 5 active members. And originally, the Central Committee had 50 members. There's been massive attrition since 2024. This is the second year of that massive operation that was undertaken to remove the threat of red terror in our country. 500 plus Maoists have either been neutralized or arrested in operations that started in 2024. In 2025 alone, last year, 285 Maoists were neutralized. So far in 2026, 22 have been neutralized. More than 100 memorials, and we'll show you images of those memorials. They were right in the heart of the Red Terror belt, where the state hadn't been in the past 40 years. That's when the security forces are not only entering, they're setting up what are known as COBs or company operating bases, and from there operations are mounted using technology, whether it's drones or security forces on their motorcycles with handheld thermal imagers, night vision devices, modern weapons. They're often on motorcycles, moving in groups of 2s and 3s, always the part of buddy system. So all of this indicates that the Maoists are now demoralized and their strongholds are being demolished. There's also another word on internal split in the organization. And the split was triggered after the surrender of one of their key strategists, Majula Venugopal Rao alias Sonu. That happened in October 2025. Ever since that collapse just started, they started falling like 9 pins. Devuji emerged as the second senior most leader. He continued to advocate armed struggle till the time he too surrendered. His surrender is now being seen as a collapse of the armed wing. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Jitendra Bahadur Singh, and Jitendra has reported from the heart of the Red Terror belt. He's reported extensively from Chhattisgarh, from Madhya Pradesh, from Jharkhand, from Odisha. He is just back from Guwahati, where the Home Minister was. Jitendra, देवूजी के आत्मसमर्पण को सुरक्षा बल किस रूप में देख रहे हैं? क्या मार्च 31 की वो डेडलाइन जो गृह मंत्री अमित शाह ने रखी थी, उस दिशा में, सही दिशा में बढ़ रहे हैं?
बिल्कुल ये उसी दिशा में एक बड़ा कदम है, क्योंकि देव जी का सरेंडर जो होना ये एक बड़ी बात है, क्योंकि पिछले कई सालों से, पिछले लगभग 40 सालों से जो है ये अलग अलग जंगलों में जो है सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के खिलाफ बड़े ऑपरेशंस में शामिल रहा है। सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि हमारी जो सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के सीनियर अधिकारियों से बातचीत हुई, उनके मुताबिक अब जो है कमांडर लेवल की अगर बात करें तो 1 से 2 जो है वो नक्सली कमांडर जो कि बड़े स्तर के हैं वो बचे हुए हैं, जिनके खिलाफ इस वक्त ऑपरेशन ब्लैक फॉरेस्ट 2 चलाया जा रहा है कोर्रे गुट्टा की पहाड़ियों में, क्योंकि ये ट्राई जंक्शन पर पड़ता है। ये छत्तीसगढ़, इसके साथ साथ तेलंगाना और उड़ीसा के, तो इन तमाम इलाकों में एक बड़ा ऑपरेशन इस वक्त लॉन्च किया गया है। और आने वाले दिनों में गौरव आप देखेंगे कि जो बड़े नक्सली हैं, चाहे मिसिर बेसरा हो या फिर दूसरे नक्सली जो बचे हुए हैं कमांडर्स, उनको भी इसी ऑपरेशन में न्यूट्रलाइज या तो किया जाएगा या फिर वो सरेंडर करने पर उनको मजबूर किया जाएगा। तो इस तरीके के ऑपरेशन इस वक्त चलाए जा रहे हैं। और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि नक्सलियों की जो विचारधारा है उसको पूरी तरीके से तोड़ने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है। हमने बुलडोजर एक्शन भी देखा कि छत्तीसगढ़ के तमाम इलाकों में नक्सलियों ने जो अपने मॉन्यूमेंट्स बना रखे थे, इसके साथ साथ अपने स्मारक बना रखे थे, उनको पूरी तरीके से ध्वस्त किया जा रहा है। और 203 से ज्यादा जो है नक्सलियों के स्मारक को इस वक्त छत्तीसगढ़, महाराष्ट्र और झारखंड, इन तमाम इलाकों में ध्वस्त किया गया है। ऐसे ही नक्सलियों का जो हाइडआउट्स हैं, जो कि उनके ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर्स ने अलग अलग जगहों पर छिपा रखे थे, हथियार, आईडी, इन तमाम चीजों की छानबीन की जा रही है। और माना जा रहा है कि इसको लेकर के बड़ी कामयाबी सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस को मिलेगी। और इसी क्रम में 300 नक्सलियों को घेरा हुआ है इस वक्त, जो हमारे पास सूत्रों के हवाले से जानकारी मिल रही है कि ऑपरेशन ब्लैक फॉरेस्ट 2 जो चलाया गया है वहां पर नक्सलियों को घेरा हुआ है और वो या तो सरेंडर करेंगे या फिर उनको मार गिराया जाएगा।
इस बड़ी खबर पर आप नजर बनाए रखिए। ताजा जानकारी के लिए फिर मैं आपके पास लौटूंगा। रिमेंबर देयर वाज अ टाइम व्हेन फॉर्मर प्राइम मिनिस्टर लेट डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह हैड डिस्क्राइब्ड लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म एज द बिगेस्ट थ्रेट टू इंडियाज इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी. Almost 1/3 of India's districts, if I remember correctly, about 160 odd districts were infested with left-wing extremists, and all the way from Nepal border down pockets of Uttar Pradesh, then Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, going down to Karnataka, Odisha on the left, coming to Maharashtra on the right, going down to Karnataka in pockets of Kerala at one point of time. So just imagine how wide and deep was the left, the red corridor. Let me quickly bring into this conversation ML Kumawat, former DG of BSF. He's the former head of Greyhounds, that anti-Naxal force that led brilliant operations in Andhra Pradesh in this war. And he's always advocated very aggressive anti-Maoist operations. Also with me is Major General Dhruv Katoch, author, Naxal Violence, the Threat Within. Gentlemen, welcome. You've both dealt with the threat. Mr. Kumawat, how do you view Devuji's surrender and the current phase of war on red terror, that the operation is even right now it's on with 300 Maoists surrounded as part of Operation Black Forest 2?
Gaurav, I'm very happy that Devuji has surrendered. In fact, this struggle which was going on for last 6 decades, I'm privy to it because I joined Indian Police Service in 1972. This movement was only 5-year-old at that time. And I'm happy that now in next 1 month's time, this is going to come to an end. And we have faced, terrible time in Andhra Pradesh, undivided Andhra Pradesh. I was SP there, DIG there, Chief of Greyhounds there, later on Additional Director General there, and finally in the Government of India as Special Secretary Internal Security. Yes. I dealt with this issue as, Chairman of Anti-Naxal Task Force of India. So I have seen it from bottom to top level, how actually it went about. But what you mentioned just now, this was as our former Prime Minister, Mr. Manmohan Singh, described it as the greatest internal security threat India ever faced. Because this is one movement which has lasted almost for 66 decades. Yes. And credit should go to, the police forces, political leadership of today as well as earlier also. In Andhra Pradesh especially, undivided Andhra Pradesh, and President Telangana as well as Andhra Pradesh, that they have done a great job. I am proud of the forces and also the intelligence agency of Andhra Pradesh, especially what we call SIB, Special Intelligence Bureau, which had great, I will call it reservoir information. Reason, because almost top leadership of Naxals, they all
Were
came
all
from
from Andhra.
Andhra
Yes.
Pradesh. All came from Andhra Pradesh. So naturally, who could deal with them? We knew about them, from where they have gone, who are their relations, who are their
Absolutely.
who are supporting militia, and like that. So, intelligence bureau also dependent on SIB of Andhra Pradesh and
Oh,
Greyhounds.
absolutely. So let me bring General Katoch into this conversation. General Katoch, we are looking at the images of JCB machines and bulldozers being sent in to demolish those memorials that left-wing extremists had made in different parts of Chhattisgarh. And these were areas where even a motorcycle once couldn't go. Did that change come once company operation bases was set up, when sons of the soil were recruited, when former Naxals were recruited in the war against left-wing extremism? What brought about that turning point from 1.1/3 of our country infested, now just perhaps 7 or 8 districts, or under 10 districts deeply impacted by it?
Thank you, Gaurav. Gaurav, when I carried out my study and I went to the ground, we did a very detailed study on this, and there were about 200 odd districts which were impacted to some degree, and 100 plus were very seriously impacted. And at that time, I realized one thing. It is, there are two levels when you fight this. One is the ideology, and the ideologues. And the second, of course, is the fighters. The Naxal, the chap who's got the gun. Unfortunately, the chap who had the gun, he was the poorest of India's poor. They were they were exploited by both sides. It is the ideologues who were running the battle, and now this is the victory which has been won. The ideology has been displaced by an alternate ideology, which really means, which I had even spoken of that time. It was the idea of India's democracy. Now that penetration has taken place. That penetration has taken place deep inside the forest by a combination of three things. One is the security forces have moved in step by step. Secondly, I think the administration has become much more, I will say, amenable to the local public. Otherwise, the people, in my own interaction with them, the forest guard was considered far worse than anybody amongst them. That man used to terrorize the hell out of these people. And third, I think, is the political penetration. You see, it is simply not a question of security forces. It is a combination of the administration, the politics, and the security forces.
So
Now,
when development goes into these areas, when electricity and schools and hospitals come in, Mr. Kumawat, does that actually bring the change? Because I think Andhra Pradesh and Chhattisgarh at one point of time, now is it restricted to a few pockets in Jharkhand, maybe a part of Odisha? We're told Mr. Besra is perhaps one of those last remaining who are still operating in the Jharkhand-Bihar belt. In your view, sir, can they still mount that massive operation? I've covered the Chintalnar forest massacre of 75 CRPF personnel, or the Congress party leadership that was eliminated by red terrorists. Can they still mount such a massive operation?
It's a very good question. In my view, on 31st of March, as Home Minister has already announced that it will come to an end. But as you know, one who has dealt with this for almost 3.5 decades in the police, they will commit some offenses. Some splinter groups or some people will remain. And I hope the police forces and those who are there right now in those areas are listening to me. They should be very careful, because some people, some militia, some, those will be still hiding. They will carry out, or they are likely to carry out, in my view. And I hope our forces and intelligence agencies will take cognizance of what I'm mentioning, because they will be very desperate to show that they are still there. For that very reason, they may, or they are likely to do that. And otherwise, I think its end is going to come to an end in March 2026.
It virtually sounds unbelievable. I mean, what Union Home Minister Amit Shah and his team across states have been able to achieve, I personally did not think it could happen in our lifetime, especially when we had also reported on Dr. Manmohan Singh saying left-wing extremism is the biggest threat to India's internal security, and 1/3 of districts and this entire huge red corridor existed. And there was one point of time, General Katoch, there was talk of sending in the army to deal with this. Better sense prevailed, and sons of the soil and greyhounds were initially used in Andhra Pradesh to mount this. But I want to understand, sir, you said that ideology Devuji is no longer finding favor. Are we to understand that apart from the gun-wielding terrorists, even the urban Naxals have been tackled, or the urban Naxals still remain a huge challenge for security forces? General Katoch.
Gaurav, the urban Naxals remain a challenge, and they are not located in those jungles. They are located in the capital. You see, so they will remain a challenge, but that has to be dealt with differently. What is, when I said that the ideology has been defeated, it is when you're looking at the ground, the villager, he is no longer enamored with that ideology because the state has penetrated, the politics has come in, and he has got the protection of the security forces. Now he knows he has an alternate. Otherwise, there was no alternate. The government was the Naxals. And their dispute resolution was very quick. They called both the parties short one and settled it immediately. Now it is a very ruthless. You simply eliminated the problem in whichever manner they wanted to. So it was a very ruthless thing. Now they have options. And there's one more point which I just wanted to give. Your field reporter, he said that there are about 300 odd Naxals hold up and where black forest is going on. I just want to give you some statistics. In my own studies, Chhattisgarh has about 90 to 100 odd cadre left. Jharkhand has about 60 to 70. Telangana about 60 and Odisha about 25 to 30. You add all of them is less than 300. If perchance all 300 are there, that this cadre will be eliminated. After that, you will have these people, doing all the protests, etc. in Delhi, in the colleges, etc. But the jungles will be free. They will not
Good
be
point you make. Let me quickly get Mr. Kumawat to respond to that, since you've dealt with this problem from the time that you were a young superintendent of police to the time that you were DGP and then Special Secretary Internal Security in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Sir, how serious a problem are the urban Naxals or the ideologues of Red Terror?
See, ideology also plays very important role, because they were able to convince those who are in the forest that they are working for a right cause and they are doing something good. They will be able to seize power, which I think is also must be taken into account. So I hope those who are supporting, especially through their ideology, those who are in the forest, I think they must be dealt with, number one. And otherwise, as General Katoch has mentioned, people now do not have any faith, trust in them, because a lot of development has taken place in these areas. A lot of development. Roads have been constructed, schools have been constructed, hospitals are there, and our forces have gone right into those areas which were, inaccessible to them. They never, went into those Dandakaranya, which you all know very well.
Dandakaranya, yes, sir.
We are in very good position right now, and I hope
fingers crossed, sir. Fingers crossed.
Which we face almost 6 decades.
Absolutely. It will be brilliant to have both of you back on this show on the 31st of March. And of course, even before and after that, the point remains, this is that decisive phase in the war against Red Terror, the armed Maoists on ground, but it's the urban Naxal who's hiding in plain sight in our midst, amongst us. That's the real threat that the nation still faces. And we'll be tracking that story very closely.